George Boslaw. How do the ranks work in the Sea Org? I understand some are permanent and others temporary based on your job level. How does one get promoted in rank, and when do you get real rank? I understand the former president of Scientology had a low Sea Org rank. Are there others who share the rank of captain with David Miscavige? Yeah, I've been asked about this a few times since I started doing this, and it's kind of surprised me that anybody really cares about this, but here's how it goes. There are ranks and ratings, is what it's called in the Sea Organization. It is a paramilitary operation, and so people have uniforms and insignia and whatnot. I won't try to explain the entire system because that would take too long, but basically there are officer and non-officer ranks, right? Petty officer ranks. You start off as a swamper, and then you move up to petty officer third class, and petty officer second class, and petty officer first class, and then chief petty officer, and then after chief petty officer you move up to the officer ranks, and I think it starts with warrant officer. What I'm going to do is put up a graphic that actually shows all the rank progressions up through to captain. And captain is the highest rank anybody could hold in the Sea Org at this point. Commodore was the highest rank, but that was only Hubbard. Nobody else ever had or will hold that rank. David Miscavige is the only person to have ever permanently held the rank of captain. The way the temporary ranks work is it's called a brevet rank, and that's not just a Sea Org thing. It means it's a temporary rank that's assigned to a person because they need that rank or authority for the job that they're doing. For example, the French guy, Guillaume Lessev, or other international management executives are often given a brevet rank of captain. And they have, the 4 stripes on their sleeve and whatnot, and that's only a temporary rank that they hold because of their senior position, the post that they're holding. Guillaume Lessev was the executive director international, and that was a very senior position in the ecclesiastical authority of Scientology. So he was given a rank accordingly, and when he would show up at events, he would come out in his uniform and have the 4 stripes and all that sort of thing. Same with Ray Midoff. He was the senior CS international, the senior case supervisor international. And Mike Rinder, when he was in the Sea Organization, he held a high rank. And Marty Rathbun, was a captain or something when he was in the Sea Org. So what that really means is it's just a symbol of authority, right? Their real rank that they've earned as you go, through the Sea Org could have been, petty officer second class or chief petty officer or something. The way that works is every year there is an officer selection council or officer selection board. I think they're supposed to meet 4 times a year per the policies, but really it only comes down to once a year. I think it was in August. On August, there was Sea Org Day, was celebrating the birth of the Sea Organization. And on Sea Org Day, it's a special day for Sea Org members, and there's a special Sea Org Day ceremony. And at that ceremony is when everybody is promoted who has applied for it. In order to get promoted in the Sea Organization, there's a whole form you have to fill out to submit for promotion. And you have to do it yourself. Nobody is just going to promote you unless something really, really special happens. There was a security officer one time who literally saved somebody's life by running into a burning house, a burning building on L. Ron Hubbard Way or in that neighborhood area, and pulled out 2 people who were in there who would otherwise have died. That was pretty heroic. That was Roy Rodriguez who did that, and he was promoted to officer rank because he did that. So, you get that sort of thing can happen, but that's pretty rare. For the most part, you have to apply for it. Often they're rejected. If you're not in good standing for some reason, you're in ethics trouble or you messed up on something, then you won't get promoted. The promotion application has to go through a local Selection Board, and then it goes up to the International Officer Selection Board, and they really push for people to try to get it. And you have to, when you do the application, your senior has to sign off, and the ethics officer has to sign off, and the course room supervisor has to sign off that you regularly go to study, and there's a whole thing to it, and it really takes a lot of time, and it was a real pain in the ass. So I hardly ever put in for promotion, and I think I ended up being a petty officer second class when I left the Sea Org. So that means I was only promoted twice, and it was never really a super big deal with me, because all the rank doesn't really mean a lot within the Sea Org community. You know, you kind of hardly ever wear a uniform that shows your rank. And when you do, I mean, you know, all it really means is if you're an officer or a senior petty officer, is that people hold you accountable for more stuff. You know, you're supposed to be more responsible, which means you get more duties assigned to you. And, you know, when you're already working 24/7, not keeping up with your job and getting yelled and screamed at all the time because you're not keeping up with your job, not getting any time off and all the rest, the last thing you want to do is have somebody else have another excuse to berate you for being irresponsible. And to me, that's what rank always equated to. So I was never big on getting you know, rank or rating or anything like that. But some people really get into it and they climb up the ranks, and it is, you know, it's a big deal on Sea Org Day to be promoted in front of everybody, because everybody's there at the ceremony, and it's a big deal, and it is kind of nice. You march up, you know, they read off everybody who's getting promoted, and they go up, and there's a senior officer there on stage, and you walk up and you salute, and they hand you this thing and you salute, and it's all very cool. And if you are going from petty officer to officer status, then they literally give you a new hat with an officer, you know, stripe on it, right? And so there's, you know, there's some bragging rights to that and that sort of thing, but that's really about all that there is to it. So as far as anybody else ever having been a captain in the Sea Org, no. David, this is interesting actually. I found this out in reading the IRS documentation when the church applied for tax-exempt status, that David Miscavige is the only guy who doesn't hold brevet rank as captain. He is a captain. That is his rank. Of course it is. He gave it to himself. So, you know, so he's the only captain in the Sea Org, which means he's the leading officer of the Sea Org, and apparently hates it when he's referred to as Captain David Miscavige in the media. You know, really doesn't like that because it puts the Sea Org too much there. And when it comes to courtroom drama and media and stuff, they like to kind of downplay that whole Sea Org thing, because it's the key to understanding what's behind the corporate veil of Scientology, because it's the Sea Org that David Miscavige uses to control Scientology. And everybody outside of Scientology thinks it's the corporate laws and the corporation structure and whatnot, and none of that has anything to do with how David Miscavige holds power. So anyway, that's ranks and ratings.